Today we are going to go through 5 board games that I've played recently and what I thought of them. Alright everyone, welcome back to After Evenfall, a channel all about inspiring you to embark on adventures from home. My name is Bailey and today we're going to go through 5 of the board games that I've played more recently and what I thought of them. So let's get into it! Alright, so before I get into anything, I know that it was Gen Con this past week or so ago, and everyone's calmed down from that and coming down, and I know I've been guzzling all sorts of Gen Con content, but I wanted to let you guys know I wasn't able to go this year. I am far too pregnant. I cannot walk around that long. But hopefully I'll be able to go next year. It would be my first convention if I did. Anyway, so I was sent a few of these games today, actually 4 out of 5 of them, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to the companies that sent them to me. I'm so grateful for them, and we've had such a fun time learning them. So let's start with game number 1, and that is Cat in the Box by Bézier Games. So this is a trick-taking game with a bit of a paradoxical twist. None of the cards in the game are colored until you play them. Now, I was a little worried. That sounds like a bit of a concept that's kind of hard to grasp. It wasn't. I promise you the game was fairly easy to learn, especially if you played trick-taking games in the past. And it's very intuitive as you go through. So there is a trump suit, and that usually is the suit, I believe, on the top. I think it's red. And then there are a limited number of cards that can be played per suit. So you have a little board placed out in front of you that has these recessed spaces that you can place your tokens out onto to indicate what color the card is that you've played. So say I lay down an 8 and I decide that I want it to be green. I'll take one of my tokens and I'll put it in the 8 green section. Now no one else can play a green 8 during this round again. That section is blocked. You can't go there. So as the game continues, the color options that you have in front of you start to dwindle. If you say I have a red, or say I have a 4, a 5, and a 6 in my hand, and maybe a green gets thrown out and there are no options for 4, 5, or 6 in green, or maybe any colors, and I can't play any of my cards, that's called a paradox, and the round is immediately over. Now, the other way that you could end the round is by following it all the way through until everyone has played all their cards, although I will say in the games that we played, that never happened. We paradoxed every single round. It's extremely hard to play every single card out onto your board just because there are limited numbers available per suit. So of red, there are actually less numbers available than there are for green. Like green might go almost all the way up to an 8 or a 9, but if everyone has a 9 card in their hand and someone throws it down first and puts their token there, and maybe yellow and blue don't have a 9 that you can play, everyone has a card in their hand that they can no longer use in the game, which can make it kind of tricky. It's really interesting. The concept is really cool. So this is a super mean game because you really are sticking other players with cards that they really don't want. It does have a bidding system that's similar to Wizard or similar to Skull King, where you're bidding for the amount of hands that you're going to win that round. And then if you exceed that amount or if you go underneath that amount, you don't get the amount of points that you would normally want or that you would gain from winning exactly that number of hands. Sticking other people with those cards really, really sucks. I have learned that with trick-taking games in particular, I am much better at losing hands than I am at winning hands. So for me, it's easier to just bid 0 every time and just throw the whole game because I just am so bad at trick-taking games. I'm awful. I think they're fun. I think they are an enjoyable experience for most people. For me, my brain just does not process the same way everyone else's does, and I am not good at trick-taking games. That being said, this one was on the funner end of trick-taking games that I have played. I did enjoy it. The people in my group generally enjoyed it, with the exception of my mom, but that's only because she's super impartial to Wizard. Wizard will always be her favorite game. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Nothing can top that for her, and so I think the Cat in the Box was a swing and a miss for her, but overall, we all pretty much enjoyed it. So I just wanted to say, I know you guys have all heard me complain about trick-taking games in the past, like Wizard or Skull King, And I'll be the first to acknowledge that they're not my favorite. I mean, I just pretty much said that all right there, but I really don't. I like the idea of trick-taking because I've played Schadenfreude and that one was really fun. But I just struggle with like the bidding systems in trick-taking games generally. I like games where I can just get points for the amount of hands that I win, and I don't want to be penalized for going over. That's so obnoxious. But like I said, this one was fun. I would give it probably, I almost need to have like a subsection of stars for trick-taking games because I think the most I could give a trick-taking game is really like a 3, just because I don't like them very much. But as far as trick-taking goes, if I have a subsection, I would put this on maybe like a 4 or 5 for trick-taking games, but know that that translates to about a 3 for me in like the board game arena. Yeah. But it's still a really fun game. Like, I don't want to give off the impression that it's not a good game or that it's not a fun game because it's really popular, and I honestly think it's a really good game, especially for what it is. I am just not the target market for it. I will play it again, which is saying something, because there are a lot of trick-taking games that I just refuse to. Like, my mom brings out Wizard, and I will walk in the other room. I hate it so much. I won't play. This one, if I sat down at a table and if I saw people playing it, I would totally join in. It's really easy to understand. I love the little components that they give you, like the little tokens. They're these little science tokens that each individual player gets a certain color, and you can score points based off of if you play numbers throughout the round that are in a column or a row, or if they're connected. And that part of the game is really fun. I love those little components. They're kind of like these acrylic tokens. I don't know. They're really cute. They're really fun. I love the colors on the game. I love this artwork. I think it's adorable. And yeah, I think if you like trick-taking games, this is totally the game for you. I would highly recommend it to anyone who loves trick-taking games. And that is Cat in the Box. All right, so my next game was sent to me by a company called, I believe, Rabble Game, and that is their new game, Lovestruck. So in this game, you are a reality TV personality sifting through a dating show's contestants to determine who's there for the right reasons and who's there for the wrong reasons. It is a social deduction style game, so think along the lines of the game maybe Mafia or Werewolf if you're familiar with those. Every person is given a little card at the beginning of the game that indicates whether they're there for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. And those cards are kept secret throughout the entire game. It is your job as you go on these dates throughout these episodes to try to sift through and find out who's there for the wrong reasons, if you are there for the right reasons. If you got given a card that says that you're there for the wrong reasons, your goal is to have the viewership token track go all the way up to 10, where you will then win the game. You are also dealt personality throughout the game, which kind of gives it this fun, quirky element to it, where some people will be, I know that one of the personalities is the sweetheart, there's one that's the free spirit, there's also the personal trainer personality, and there are a few other personalities put in there as well. And you can act like that character throughout the show, the duration of the show, which is really fun. It gives you a little bit of role-playing vibes without being all the way full-blown role-playing. Now, there are different rounds/episodes throughout the game. There are your standard dating rounds, and then there are your villa rounds. Now, on your dating rounds, you've coupled off with someone, and you will go on a date, maybe with a group. It will indicate it on the board how many people go on the date. And each player plays a card on the date. Now, the card that they can play is either a love card or it is a drama card. And if you flip over the cards and you take a look at them, and if all of them are love cards, love has won this round, and viewership goes down 1, everyone goes back for the next round. But if someone has put in a drama card, viewership goes up 1 million viewers, just because there are a lot of people, I guess, that like to watch drama on TV shows, which I can't say that I don't fall into that category. But what's kind of fun is with this drama card, you are actually allowed to say what card you put down. So if someone lays, because sometimes you'll get cards in your hand that are like, maybe your whole hand is full of drama cards and you couldn't even play a love card if you wanted to. You could put a drama card down, everyone flips it over, they're like, oh no, it's drama, move up the track. You have the opportunity to defend yourself, even though they're randomly held out. Like, no one really has to know that you threw the drama card down, but you don't want people to think that you're there for the wrong reasons. So you might say, listen guys, it was the only card I had. I really didn't want to stir up drama. I really didn't mean to do that. Or you can go full blown and be in your character and be a free spirit or be a personal trainer and come up with all of your little like weightlifting reasons, like I didn't want drama, but it was just really important that I go work out during this date and my date was really upset about it. Like you can kind of get full in character with it, or you can stay kind of more neutral on that and just be your own personality. I like that it gives you the option for both. And so that kind of covers the date section of the game. And like I said, if there's one drama card in the entire hand or two drama cards, like it doesn't matter how many drama cards there are, viewership goes up 1. Now, when you go to the villa, there are a bunch of different options available. When on the villa episodes, you can couple up with another person, you can break up with the person that you're with, you can go on a bonus date, which is where you discard 2 cards from your hand and go on a date with like 3 contestants, and then you all do those drama and love cards again. There's a diffuse the tension action. There is a we need to talk action where and that's kind of like a heavier action. You get to discard 4 cards from your hand, and you actually get to look at your partner's intention card with that one. So if I pay 4 cards out of my hand, I get to actually look at their card and see if they're there for the right reasons or wrong reasons. And I can break up with them, or at another villa date, I can move on from that. So that kind of element is fun. Then there's also the keep your options open. You have to be coupled up for this, but if you discard 5 cards, I think it is, you get to peek at any other player's card except your partner's, their intention card. Now there's kind of like an extra action. There is a bombshell card that you could be drawing throughout the game. These usually have elements on them like if on your next date, if someone throws a drama card, drama goes up 2 instead of 1. There typically is like a high risk, high reward associated with that card, just because you are given a better advantage to find out what someone's intentions are through it. So like I said, it's like high risk, high reward. So maybe if everyone's there, if you're really certain that this person is there for love and you really want to find it out, so you go on this date, you find out they're there for love, everyone's kind of safe. If you find out though that they're there for drama, or if they throw a drama card, then you're stuck with viewership going up 2, which pushes the people who are there for the wrong reasons way further into an advantage of winning. So at the end of the game, couples who are there for love and end up partnered with someone who are there for love have won the game. And then characters who have come here for love and are partnered with someone who is not there for the right reasons, they lose the game. Or alternatively, if viewership hits 10, the people who are there for the wrong reasons, I can't talk today. If the viewership hits 10, the people who are there for the wrong reasons end up winning the game. And that could be at any point throughout the game. Once it hits 10, game over, they've won. It's a very comical game. It's really funny to see people pull characters that are polar opposite their personalities and try to play them throughout the game. It kind of gives a fun little quirky vibe to the whole game. It's really enjoyable. I do think that this game plays really best in one of two circumstances. I think that it's a really great game for a group of singles, and it plays 5 to 10 players, by the way. So it's a pretty broad game for a party game. I have quite a few party games that only play up to 6 or 7 or 8. This one plays up to 10. And yeah, I highly recommend this to a group of singles. I think that this is like a great game if you're in college with a bunch of your friends to play. It's very entertaining. You kind of learn some stuff about people unintentionally. And then the other circumstance in which I think this really works well is if you're playing it with a bunch of family where you're more comfortable. It could be really fun if you've got like siblings and your parents and stuff, especially if you've got a big family, aunts and uncles. I think it could be fun to kind of play just because you can suspend your disbelief a little more easily around family. So there is one way to play this game that is a little bit more on the awkward side, and that is if you're playing with a bunch of married couples, just because there is the element of the game where you're pairing off. And you're not like leaving a room. There's nothing like that. You're not really pairing off. It's just your little tokens on the board go to a bed together. And like, it's a little weird if it's your, like, say your friend's husband that you're pairing off with and going to bed on a board with. I don't know. That's my only real issue with it overall. I don't think it's that bad. That's where if you're like me, maybe that might be a little bit awkward for you or a little bit uncomfortable. Unless you're really good at suspending your disbelief. If you're really good at suspending your disbelief, and if everyone in your group is too, I wouldn't even worry about it. It's not a big deal at all. It is also a little bit more mature of a theme. There are no, and I want to say really quickly, there are no explicit cards. There are no mature cards in the deck. Like, there's nothing that has mature content overall. It's just the theme itself is a little mature to be playing with maybe people under the age of 14. It is, I don't know. I just think, yeah, that's kind of my opinion on that. I mean, you still could play it. It just might be a little more uncomfortable. Now, that being said, I gave this game 3.5 stars. It's really enjoyable to play with family overall. And again, I highly recommend this to a group of friends, especially like the college singles. If you want to get together with a big group for a party or something, I think this is a fantastic party game for that. I think it would be so fun to have everyone come in fully ready to, like, even, I could even see if you wanted to, like, assign the characters out in advance and have everyone come as, like, the character in a costume or something like that and have a whole full-blown party around it. I think that could be really fun because it is a really cool game to play in that kind of a setting. Anyway, that is Lovestruck. All right, so my next game was also sent to me by Bézier Games, and it is one that I have had on my radar for quite a while, so I was really excited to receive it in the mail. And that is Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Ludwig? Ludwig. I'm just going to say Ludwig for now. But in this game, you've been... I can't talk, you guys. I have filmed this like 5 times, and I'm struggling. Okay. So, in this game, you've been tasked by the great King Ludwig II of Bavaria to build his greatest castle yet. So you start with a foyer, and then throughout the game, you will be buying these room tiles and adding them to the castle. And the buying and selling process is really interesting because you're not, I mean, with the exception of the builder of that round, you are not buying directly from a bank. You are actually giving your money to the first player, or the person who has a specific, like, master builder token. And then they gain that money. The money kind of circulates throughout the game. The only time money is taken into the bank is when the player with the tile at that round wants to buy their card or buy their tile and add it to their deck. Then they take their money and put it in the bank. So there are going to be certain restriction rules on the tiles themselves. There are, for instance, garden tiles have one wall of them that cannot touch another building section. They have to be open to the outdoors. There are also cards with like a mandolin on them, and those ones tiles with mandolins on them, and those ones give you negative points if the tile itself is touching any of the adjacent buildings, any of the adjacent rooms that it indicates on the tile. So on their turn, the player with the revolving castle token will flip cards to show what rooms get put in the available pool for the round to buy from. Now they then get to price all of these tokens, which that part I thought was so cool. I didn't know that in advance of the game, and it was really neat to be able to be in control of the price points of each of the rooms because you can kind of look at other players' boards and see what they're going for, and you can take into account the amount of money that they have, and maybe you put one tile that you really want in a specific spot because they all get to buy before you do. So maybe you put one tile in a specific spot because you want it out of their price point, but within yours. And or alternatively, you might price everything at a higher price that they maybe want so that they have to buy it that round. Sometimes they'll sneak it up on you and they'll just buy a haul instead though, and then you've pretty much wasted your turn. But it's still really fun. So the other players will then pay you for whatever castle room they want. They add it to their board following their restrictions. They gain points from that. And then you move on to the next round where the little castle meeple gets transferred to the next player. And the rounds will continue like that until the deck of draw cards are gone. And then the game is complete. And you get a certain amount of points for rooms that have run out and how many of them you have in your castle. And then there are also specific scoring objectives that you'll have in cards that you've been dealt out and then also additionally gained throughout the game. For instance, one of the objectives is to have 10 of the 11 shape tiles within your castle, and you'll get 8 points for that. And then maybe another one is you get 1 point for each type of a certain room that you have in your castle. And the rooms all vary. There are some purple fire symbol rooms. There are some crafting rooms that are orange generally. The kitchen rooms are yellow. the mandolins are red, and you'll have them all throughout your board trying to optimize the amount of points you can get from the adjacent rooms. So each of those rooms will have a score in the corner of them, and then additionally they will have a score in the center of them. The score in the corner is their base value. The score in the center is how much they score per adjacent room. So some of the kitchen rooms might say, okay, you get 1 point initially, but then you also get 1 point for each forest or each garden room adjacent or sharing a door with the kitchen room. You'll then score up your points, and then the person who has the most points wins. And there are a few different ways to score. I won't get into all of them in this video. So this game has very quickly risen in the rank for games for me. I loved it. And I don't mean a little bit. Like, I loved it. This might end up in my top 10. I could totally see it in my top 10 because it's like the tile placement of it is really fun. I love the buying. I really like that the game is not too long. I mean, it says on the box that it can go for 75 minutes. I think if you also play with the expansions to it, it can go up to 90. I haven't really played a game that long. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. And I like the flow. It's very fast-paced without being over the top. There is a lot of room for thinking and a lot of room for improvisational work. It is so fun. I really liked it a lot. I love the theme. I am very fascinated with history, so that is something that really hit home for me, especially the history of like Germany and the castles, or I just like European history is really interesting to me. And so it was really cool to learn about that while you're playing the game. The theme was really streamlined. The components are like top tier. And there's a deluxe edition that you can buy on their website, which I may or may not have purchased. So I am super looking forward to getting that in the mail. When I do, I'm going to have to let you guys know what I think of it because I'm just really excited about it. And I love the concept of building your own castle. I think that is just so much fun as you're building it out in front of you. A little part of me likes to kind of think like, oh, I wonder what this would look like if it were actually 3D modeled. That would be kind of cool. It's really fun game. I really liked it a lot. I could play it over and over and over again. I gave it 5 stars, easy. I had the best time playing it. I like the slightly mean element. I like that it's not straight Euro. I like that there's the interaction of you setting the prices of the market. That could be really mean. I mean, I've messed my mom over a few times, and she did the same thing to me when it came to pricing those. It wrecked my whole game one time, but it was still so fun. Like, it's mean, but it's not so mean that you're throwing tables or anything like that. It's just like, it's the perfect amount of everything, I think. And yeah, my wallet is in for it. I am really excited about this game, and that is Castles of Mad King Ludwig. My German accent could definitely use some brushing up on. Where is this hair that keeps going in my face? All right, so my next game was also sent to me by the company Rabble, and that is the game, if I can reach it over my pregnant belly, that is Sparks. First of all, I want to say that this box cover is beautiful. It has this really, really pretty silver foil to it, and I've said before that I love silver foil on games. All of the cards in the deck also have silver foil on them, so that's going to be a weak point for me. Now, talking about Sparks, I hesitate to call this a party game, just because when I think of party game, even though, I mean, it does play 2 to 8 players, but when I think of party game, I tend to think like rowdy, loud, a lot of laughter, a lot of like joking around and stuff. That is not this game. This is more, I would almost call it a conversational guide, and an in-depth one at that. It's if you really want to get to know the people around you, this is a really good game to have on hand. It really sparks deep conversations. So throughout the game, each player through the course of rounds will take a past, a present, and a future card, and each of those cards has somewhat personal questions on them. So the questions can range anywhere from how did you earn your first paycheck all the way through to what would your past self think if they could see you now? And then each player will answer their question and move on to the next round. So you start, like I said, with the present, and then you start with the past, and then you move to the present. Everyone answers a question. Then you move to the future round. Everyone answers a question. And then at the end of all of those rounds, the 3 cards that you drew each have symbols on the bottom of them. You'll put those symbols together, and it will tell you which 4th card you will draw. And they all are associated with the zodiac. So I, for instance, drew, I think, the Libra card. And that you will draw that last card, and that last card tends to be more deep. It tends to be more personal than the rest of the cards. And you'll answer that question, and then the game is over. Oh, and I forgot to mention, too, that there's also a lunar event card where I think ours always said something along the lines of, like, the player to the right of you gets to pick 2 cards out of a certain deck and hand you one that you have to answer. It's very simple, super easy to learn, because it really is just a guide, and it's kind of a flow. Like, you don't necessarily have to follow the rules on it. You could just pull cards and ask questions, and I think that would be just as valuable with your time as playing the game itself is. There is no winning or losing in this game. It is all about getting to know the other players around you. So I actually, like, maybe this is kind of a niche thought, but I actually think that this is a really good game that couples counselors should have on hand. I think that there are a lot of marriages that could benefit, or coupleships that could benefit from asking some of the questions. I know I've been married for 8 years, and even for me, there were some questions that came up between me and my husband because we played it together that were questions that I'd never asked him before that I was really interested to learn the answer for, or his answer to. Like, it was really cool to kind of hear your partner's perspective on things that you'd never really thought about. I think it would be really good to pull out in like the first session of maybe a couples counselor thing just to ease people into sharing more personal stories. I think that would be a really good concept for people. I really like it a lot as filler for a quiet evening. It's a really good lullaby game to ease you out of the rowdiness and into kind of more of the conversation of the evening. Especially, I don't know if everyone else does this, but I know as the evening wears on, I tend to open up way too much. I tend to get a little bit, we call it like the 9 o'clock word vomit, where everything just starts to get a little bit more personal after 9 p.m. And I think that this is a really good game for that time period when you really want to you've had a really big game, everyone wants to de-stress from it, you all are eating snacks and asking and answering questions with each other. I think that's such a good idea. I really like that they made this game for that reason, because I think I'm going to be pulling this out a lot with my husband, honestly. We played it just he and I felt like it was just, I might pull this out a lot, because there are some evenings where we just kind of are quiet and we're tired and we don't really want to pick up like a big game or start anything that we don't want to finish. And this is a really good one to just open up and just start drawing cards out and being like, hey, here's a question for you. What do you think? Now you ask me one. It's a really good idea. I really like it a lot. Definitely a lullaby game. Definitely more chill. I am actually not going to give it any sort of rating just because it's not really a game. Like, it's not one that I would generally give a score to. I think the benefit is really in the eye of the beholder for it. And so for that reason, I'm not going to score it. I do think it's a good, solid conversational guide, though, and that is Sparks. So my last game is one that was sent to me by Goliath Games. So I actually lied at the beginning of my video. I thought that only 4 of them had been sent to me. Definitely 5 of them have. I've had this one sitting on my shelf for a while, though, and I really wanted to get around to learning it. And that is Alice's Garden, again, by Goliath Games. So this is a tile drafting and placement game and it's got a kind of a polyomino element to it. It's very Tetris-y in that you're drawing specific Tetris-style tokens and you're laying them out on this square board to try to fill them out. Now, if you've played games like Patchwork, this kind of gives a similar vibe, except there's an extra puzzly element to it where each of the little squares in your Tetris section has a different painting on it, has a different picture on it. And those pictures need to line up in specific ways for you to score points. I would almost say that this game is Patchwork meets Draftosaurus in vibes. I would put it kind of as a lullaby game, but it is a little crunchy at the same time. Maybe not crunchy, just thinky. Now, each round, one player, and this will rotate every round, one player will draw a specific amount of tiles out of a bag in accordance with your player count plus 1. And they will pick the bag. All of them have to come from that bag in particular. And then they put them out on the board. Everyone picks one. You put it on your board. You move on to the next round where the next player will do the same thing. And you'll keep doing that until someone can't put any more tiles on their board. And with these, to accumulate points, for example, I know I spoke about those pictures a second ago. As an example, the chess piece has to go on the chessboard section if you want to score points for it. Or if you want to score points for trees, you have to have them a certain distance apart. They score as many points as they are apart distance-wise on your board. So if you have like a tree in this space and then you have 5 more spaces and then another tree, I believe it would score 7 points because you would count the trees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get 7 points. Write it down on your board or write it down on your pad. Your paper pad. Now, there are a lot of other little fiddly rules that come into play, but it's nothing overwhelming to learn. It's really easy. I'd put it on the lighter end, kind of in, like I said, in the same category as Patchwork or Draftosaurus. It's definitely, I would call it a lullaby game. For me, it was a really good evening game when you're winding down out of a bigger game. I like the randomness of the drafting process and the strategy involved with placing it. The scoring is really easy to learn. It's a really good pick up and just go game. And we all had a really good time playing with it. The only person that it wasn't really for was my husband, but he really likes games that are more directly confrontational, and this one isn't. This is more kind of Euro style. I mean, there is the player interaction in the middle, but you're really doing your own thing on your own board for the majority of the game and then scoring it in comparison to other people's. You could play it with younger kids too, which I really like. For our family, that works really nicely, and that is Alice's Garden. So I hope you guys all enjoyed what you saw today as much as I enjoyed making it for you. I wanted to remind you all that I am an affiliate for Harbor Loot, and right now they're having a deal going where if you click on my link and you go to their site, you can get $10 off any purchase on your Harbor Loot account. And in addition, that stacks on top of any other promotions that they're running at the time. So I would highly recommend getting your gaming loot now while you can. It's super fun. I love their company. They're great people to work with, and their product is just top tier. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend them anytime. Again, that affiliate link is down in my description. And yeah, I highly recommend you check it out. Now, if you liked what you saw today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notifications when we upload new content. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you, and I so appreciate all the support that you guys give me, and I hope to see you again here in the After Evenfall community.